Miguel Barrios, and I'm the co-host for When the Humanist Attacks. Welcome to the Humanist Attacks. It's a production of the Humanist Being of it's a 401c.3 not-profit organization founded by the state in the state of Vermont, and it is dedicated to the spread of secular humanists' ideals and the separation of religion and government. So today we have a very special guest. It's Coach Mike from FRNY, New York. And I am very thrilled with this interview because Coach Mike is a very good role model in the Frontrunners running club of New York City. And I'm very happy to have you here, Coach Mike. So welcome to the show.
Thank you, Miguel. Thank you.
So please tell us, do you know, FRONT New York is the LGBT running club of New York City. So Coach Mike is the coach of the FRONTrunners New York. And please tell us, how did you start running?
Well, I started running when I was young. I was 8 years old. I had an older brother who was a very good runner at the time, and so he ran races. I wanted to run races. I also played soccer at the time, so I really loved soccer, and I really wished I had been a better soccer player, but I wasn't. But I could run up and down the field without any problem. So later in high school, I started becoming more serious about running, and in college, I also became more serious and went to the NCAA Division III Nationals for cross country. And but living in New Jersey, I always wanted to run the New York City Marathon. I had heard about it year after year, and I always wanted to run it. So my last semester in college, I went and ran the New York City Marathon. So it just kind of over years built up, and I went further and further distances because I just like the running.
Nice. So do you become an elite runner, be running the New York City Marathon, or yes, can you tell us more about that?
Yes. Well, I didn't really think of myself as an elite runner. I started doing well in college, and like I said, I did the New York City Marathon, and I finished in 100th overall. And
wow.
I didn't think much about it at the time, but people told me it was really good. So
wow.
Let's see. My high school coach saw that I did well, and he got me in contact with a professional runner and coach in New Jersey, and he coached me for the next, I think, 4 years, and which would have been in 1989, 1990, 91, and 92. And within 2 years, I became more of an elite runner. I ran my best marathon, which is 2:16, and my best half marathon, which is 1 hour and 4 minutes. And that's when I became an elite, I guess.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it's very fast. Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, it's very fast. How many minutes per mile did you run? I guess you remember.
The 2:16 is a 5:12 pace, 5 minutes.
Wow, incredible.
And I never calculated the pace for a 104, so I'm not really sure.
Yeah, but
Sorry.
it's even it's below 6 minutes per mile. That it's amazing. It's a great pace.
Thank you.
So you mentioned that you went to college. What is your background in college? What did you do in college?
In college, um, I was I wanted to get a degree in engineering, and so the school I went to is in Pennsylvania, Wilkes University, and it had um, it has an engineering school, and so I got a degree in engineering, in materials engineering,
Wow.
and um, after college, um, I got a job working for a company that makes plastics. They're still in business, I'm sure, and in New Jersey. And so I worked for them. So when I was training to be an elite runner, I was uh, running in the morning before work and going to work and then running in the afternoon after work.
Wow. Very
Um,
dedicated.
have to be serious, yes.
Right, right, right. I wonder, what do you think are the main motivators for runners? Because it's for some people it can be boring or can be strenuous or fatiguing. What do you think in general runners are? Are the motivators for running?
I think it's very personal. It's everyone has, um, and especially since when I was running those times, that was more than 30 years ago. Um, it could be, you could have different goals from year to year. You could have different goals. You could have a 5-year goal from now. You can have a 10-year goal. Um, so goals are important. Some people want to run and qualify in the Boston Marathon, qualify to run in the Boston Marathon. I wanted to qualify for the Olympic trials for the United States, and the qualifying time was 2 hours and 20 minutes for the Olympic trials. So that was my goal. That got me up every day. That got me to go and run twice a day, 5 days a week, and run longer and faster on the weekends. And that was my goal for several years. And I did that. And I got to the Olympic trials. And so um, getting back to your point or your question, some people just want to lose weight, and that's fine. I think that's the great part about running is that it's very individual. Um, it's you have your own goals. It may just be to lose weight. It may be to run a 3-hour marathon. It may be to run or qualify for the Boston Marathon, which requires qualifying times. It may be to run the New York City Marathon. Um, so I think that's the great thing about running is that it's very individual.
Awesome. And you mentioned that you went to the Olympic trials. How was that experience for you?
Well, not as great as I thought it would be. Um,
Also,
I, I, um, I had run my qualifying time the year before, not the year before, in October of 1991, and during that marathon, I got kind of an injury. It didn't start to affect me until um, I started, because I ran that marathon. I kind of felt something in my foot, and then when I started training again a few weeks later because the Olympic trials, so that marathon was in October. The Olympic trials were in April. So that's 5 months of training. So it was kind of, at least for me, a kind of a quick turnaround. And so I had an injury, and it affected my training leading all the way up to the Olympic trials. And going to the trials was great, and being there was very exciting, but I didn't finish. My foot was giving me too much problems, too many problems throughout, and so I didn't finish. I got to 23 miles, but it was
not a nice
no,
feeling, I guess.
No.
I'm very sorry to hear that. I wonder when because you meet a lot of people in the club. What would you recommend somebody who is beginning to run? Just is somebody who has not too much experience and who is just beginning to run. What is your advice when you talk with somebody that wants to begin to run?
Listen to your body. I think running, people think that it has to be difficult. They remember back in the days in high school or in elementary school where they had to run for gym class or made to run, and it was not pleasant. It wasn't a pleasant experience. So when they start running again later on, it's just not going to be a pleasant experience. If you're going to run, make it pleasant. Have short-term goals from week 1 to week 2 to week 3 to week 4. And because it does take time, it takes a long time, especially if you don't like to run. If you like to run, that's good, but the body takes a long time to adjust. It's different than when you were, I still have to remind myself, I'm not 19 years old anymore. I'm 30 plus years over 19 years old. So your body needs time to adjust to what you're doing to it, which isn't a bad thing. It's going to take time. So allow yourself to take time. Have a very long-term goal, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and enjoy it. Pick races to train for. If you're thinking about a marathon, I don't recommend doing one your first year of running. I recommend doing it 2 years away or 3 years away to give yourself time. To build up gradually. Too many people they want to do a marathon and they want to do it this year, and they have 3 or 4 months to train, and they're going to do it, and it's just not the way. Running can be great until you're 80 or 90 years old, and that's how it should be. It should be a lifelong thing, just like diet and exercise and everything. It's have a long-term goal. No matter how competitive you are, it's about running a marathon. It's not about sprinting. It's not the short, fast, all-out effort. It's a gradual build-up, a long-term plan.
And I guess it applies also to people who are overweight because they have to build even with a more complicated situation, right?
Yes, absolutely. If for people who are overweight, it's probably the best way to lose weight because everything is moving and everything is jiggling around. And so all of that movement creates, um, helps with the weight loss.
Right.
And yes, your skeletal system needs to adjust long term to the running. It's running is very good for the body. We were meant to run. We were born to run. So it's if you feel a knee pain, it's something else. It's not your knees giving out on you. It's not that running is bad for your knees. Running is very good for the skeletal system. Running is very good for everything in the body. So the movement, the and getting back to the first thing that I said, listen to your body. However, if you want to get to a certain point, a certain goal, running a marathon, running a 10K, running a 5K, you have to keep moving. And that movement is going to help you with the weight loss, with the strengthening of the skeletal, with the strengthening of the muscles that support the skeletal system.
Awesome. I want to switch gears talking about what it do you I wonder that being an LGBT person, you can you face certain struggles in your private life growing up in any environment. It's kind of natural that we don't have the natural things to. But I wonder, do you face any kind of I don't know if it is a myth or something that some people face some kind of bullying or harassment in there for being an athlete that can be openly LGBT. I don't know what is are your opinions about it.
Well, the thing is, I didn't come out until I was 50.
Okay.
So,
okay, it was
right.
a late.
Yes, very late. And people have mentioned that to me, right, that I didn't go through what they had to go through in high school or elementary school. And no, and I'm not sure why but right, I came out very late in life, and am I happy I did it? Yes, I'm happy I did it. And finally, and being the coach of an LGBT running club really helped. I started coaching Frontrunners New York in 2013. I was still married to a woman, and we have a child, and she graduated college. And when I started coaching Frontrunners, everything was very different. I had been coaching so I started coaching Frontrunners in 2013. I had been coaching for 20 years already. I had been coaching had my own programs. I coached at Columbia University. When I got to Frontrunners, I immediately sensed that there was something different about this club that I didn't understand. And within a couple of years, not a couple of years. within a couple of months, I realized I was coaching my people. I was coaching my club. I had become part of my team. And so it was a wild experience just to see that. Like I said, I was 50 when I came out. So it took a couple of years just to realize, okay, this is who I should be, who I am. And what was the question?
No, the question is that it's perfect. It's perfect. What you're talking about is perfect.
Yeah.
Your experience in the club and your experience.
Right. I think it was because of the club that because of the club and being around so many people who are supportive, were supportive, continue to be supportive, made it so much easier for me to come out.
Nice. I'm very glad to hear your story because some kids in America, face some kind of discrimination or harassment or bullying in their schools, and we hear many stories that are really, really sad of kids
absolutely
who are disowned from their houses and who are having a very harsh moment because they came out of the closet. But I wonder when there are some people told me, oh, when they ask me, do you have you become excited sexually when you are between so many men around you when you're running, and it's like I want to hear your opinion. I will give you my opinion later. Yeah.
Oh, no, not for me. I'm sorry, no.
You are into this running, right?
Right. Well, I'm running. Yes, if I guess I see my type or I see someone, yes, there are friends of mine who are like that. They can be easily distracted by all the eye candy at races or just running in Central Park. No, no, it's very individual to me. I know when I'm attracted to someone. I've felt that over the last 3 or 4 years, and it's been great because it's a great feeling, and it was very genuine for me, and it was the first time I think that's happened in such a long time for me. So, but no, I'm not. Right. Maybe if I was at the Olympics and the whole U.S. or the gymnastics Olympic team was standing around me, then yes, we probably wouldn't be going for a run. We would be, or if the U.S. swim team or the U.S. track and field team.
Right, exactly.
Right.
Yeah,
so.
I understand. So you mentioned that you were a coach for 20 years with Columbia University, with your own club, and how is to be an entrepreneur and a person who is coaching in a university? How is that? Obviously, it seems that when you did that, you were not out of the closet yet. It seems.
Right.
Am I correct?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So, what is to be an entrepreneur, and how is to be a coach in a top university? I mean, how is that? What is your experience about that?
It's, you mean, well, okay. Um, at the time, which would have been the early 1990s, Columbia's program wasn't very good. So it was a small team. I was the coach of the women's team, or an assistant coach to the women's team, and so the whole program was not very good, unfortunately. But over the next several years, um, they developed into a big
program.
Big program, an impressive program.
Wow.
And so, so I guess I was there in a transition phase, and for 3 years, it was stressful because it was mostly the full year, because I was coaching distance runners who run cross country, indoor track, and outdoor track.
Wow, it's a lot.
Whereas sprinters and shorter distance runners only run indoors and outdoors. But in terms of, I mean, are you asking because I was in the closet, was it different?
No, I'm asking if how was the support of the university and the desire of because I remember that running before this 1970, it was something that wasn't very popular.
Oh,
but
right.
But after 1972, after those Olympic trials, running becomes a huge boom, and you see a lot of people running, and a lot of advertising, and a lot of things about running. But it seems that for universities, it took a longer time to assimilate that information. That's what was my impression. So I wonder is how a top university like Columbia begin to adapt and to make efforts for their students could have a sport and can have something like a sport, because in my time when I went to university, there was sports were nothing. If you do want to do something, it's up to you, but not because it was something that top universities wanted to do, like running, for example.
Right. Well, at the time, Harvard, well, so the Ivy League schools, Columbia is an Ivy League, and the Ivy League schools don't give athletic scholarships, whereas Penn State, University of Florida, Ohio State, all the big schools, they give scholarships to their athletes.
Right.
So those bigger schools were doing well because they could give full scholarships to University of Oregon, Georgetown, Villanova, all had world-class runners on their team. They all went to the or a lot of them went to the Olympics. They were high level. The Ivy Leagues did not give athletic scholarships.
So that's the difference.
Yes, that was the difference. That was one of the differences.
Yeah.
Schools like Harvard and Princeton and like the larger Ivy League schools developed programs somehow. Columbia, for whatever the reasons were, focused more on academics.
Right.
So they did not put much emphasis, and so for years, all of the athletics at Columbia University, were just okay. They weren't their football team, basketball team, all their athletics teams, but um, with the exception probably of swimming and maybe fencing, right? They did not get much help from the college. So that's it's different, but that's the discrepancy there.
I see. In New York, we have several places where we can run, like the track in close to Columbia Presbyterian. We have the Central Park, but there are other cities that doesn't have those kind of scenarios, places where people can run. What do you suggest people who are in those cities that don't have a place where they can run safely, and what are the suggestions? Maybe you can suggest any advice that you have for them.
I am impressed that more bike lanes are being created throughout the country. I go to places and I see bike lanes all over, which is just great. So use the bike lanes, find out where a park is, even if it's a small park, and a mile around, a half mile around. It's someplace. It doesn't have to be a big, beautiful park with lush lawns or huge trees, or in the mountains with. The important thing is finding a place where you can do your thing, where you can, if your goal is to run and to lose weight, your own city block is the best place to start, and then start looking for parks or bike trails, or they're out there. You might have to look for them, and you might have to drive a little bit to them. But if your goal is that important to you, then it's worth the drive. It's worth the effort to get there. And if it is that much of an effort, then find a friend who wants to go with you, because having a friend who is going to go with you or meet you for a run, that's going to make it that much more easier for you to make those plans and to stay on focus and to stay on track.
Accountable with somebody to share similar interests.
Absolutely. Google Maps. Look on, if you're living in a city, and you'd be surprised at what you find just looking around in Google Maps.
Right. Coming back to your early years as a runner, you say that you were running in high school. Do you have any role model athlete that was for you, like a person that you want to be when you were at this age?
I had three.
Okay.
That I still remember Frank Shorter running into the Olympic Stadium in Munich, and in Montreal. And I mean, I'm getting chills down my back just thinking about it, and being so thrilled to see him. Bill Rogers running and winning so many New Yorks and so many Bostons. Steve Prefontaine, who died early. He was a runner who was on the cover of Sports Illustrated, and he was only a freshman in college. So it was those early 70s, when I was 8, 9 years old, and my brother was a very good runner, and I got to see in 72 and 76 Frank Shorter winning, and did he win both? Sorry, I forget. But yes, I guess Frank Shorter would be the number one, and then Bill Rogers, and then Steve Prefontaine.
Awesome. And I wonder, looking at the future, how do you see yourself in 5 years or in 10 years as a coach, as a runner? What do you envision of yourself in the future?
Okay, so I don't see myself coaching.
Okay, okay.
I see myself running again.
Okay.
Because there are several people out there. Gene Sykes, the man who's in his early 70s, and then a 252 or 256 marathon.
Wow.
70, exactly. You say, wow, okay. That I've the woman from Japan, who's 63 or 64 and was a phys ed teacher, and she's retired a few years ago. Mm-hmm. She ran a 252 marathon.
Oh my!
That's
amazing.
Those are my goals. I want to break 3 hours. I want to break 3 hours again.
Wow!
To put in that training.
That's amazing.
So that's what I see myself. Hopefully sooner than 5 years, but yeah.
Okay. No, Coach Mike, I really appreciate that the time you took for this interview, and I want to thank you and say, well, I wish you the best. I hope you reach those goals.
Thank you.
And thank you very much. So
thanks for having me.
No, you're welcome, and I'm very thrilled that you share all those experiences and all your insights about running for in an LGBT club. So thank you very much for your time. And this is Miguel Barrios from When the Human is Attacked. And thank you, everybody, and see you next time.
Thank you.
Already, Chris, I think it's done.